As I said, if you're eating something, you may want to keep that away momentarily. Just the obnoxious of what we are made to eat, even as we pay for it. These visuals are gory. Look at the visuals on your screen. Let me take you through them. In a shocking, gross incident, a consumer in Gujarat's Jamnagar has claimed that they received a dead frog in their chips packet. That's on your screen. The consumer has claimed that the frog was in fact fried along with the chips. The packet that they claim to be of Balaji chips, according to them, was bought by their child, and half the packet was consumed before they noticed the frog. A team of the Food Safety Department did some verifications at the shop. Sample of this particular chips have also been collected. This alleged pack of Balaji wafers was bought according to the consumer. But is this an isolated case? Remember, a finger and a centipede found in two separate brands of ice creams. In fact, the young man thought he was biting into a nut till he figured it was a severed finger. We are not showing you, but it is beyond belief. Which later, according to the probe, was a severed finger of a worker working at the plant. Then you have an instance of a blade in a sweet potato and a fig chart. At an Air India international flight meal, AI apologized. Then you have another visual of rat in a top-notch branded sauce. Hershey's has apologized for this. 6 instances in a matter of 2 weeks. In fact, this 6th wasn't a food item, but could well be. Look at this. A couple in Bengaluru shocked. They were completely shocked after receiving a snake in their Xbox controller package. If we can have that visual up, please. The video shows a cobra stuck to the packaging tape and could not get loose. Cobra, a venomous snake, could be seen stuck in the black duct tape with Amazon Prime written on it. The snake could be seen moving and trying to crawl out. This could well be a food package as well, but nonetheless, whatever it was, this is what happened. Are these freak instances, or is there something larger and worrying? Well, incidentally, in India, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, that's the FSI, is responsible for setting standards for the food. Also, plays a key role in enforcing food safety regulations and monitors the food industry as well. I'm being joined right now by Mahesh Zagade, who's a former commissioner for Maharashtra FDA, Priyanshi Dhir, who's a CEO for Barken, and Bijon Mishra, who's a consumer rights activist. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. Let me just start with you first, Mr. Bijon Mishra. What do you really make out of this?
Well, it shows how irresponsible the regulator can be and how much they care for the consumers. You see, it's pathetic. The visuals which you showed were not only gruesome, but it showed that there is a total neglect. There is a total deliberate act of negligence on the part of the regulator to ensure that all food processors, packers, delivery people, they follow certain minimum standards of safety and quality. And that is what the law is meant for. And we have a law which needs to be implemented effectively and efficiently in the interest of the consumers who pays for those products. And then they land up, having horrifying kind of situations. Now, what the regulator needs to do is take strict action on all food processors who are not maintaining hygiene. And you walk into any, Sneha, you walk into any of the food processors, you will see how pathetic their food manufacturing practices are. Absolutely, horrendous. In fact, they go to any extent to compromise on quality and safety of the food which they manufacture. It's really, really amazing how the state governments who are responsible to implement the food safety law are completely, not at all responsible. They don't even look sensitive towards their responsibility. It's a pathetic situation, Sneha, that we as consumers have to be very careful from where we buy, how it is being sold. We don't even know at the back end what's going on. Nobody goes to these manufacturing units to actually examine or do a surveillance surprise checks to figure out whether they follow the law or not. I don't see anybody losing their license. How many people have lost their license in the last 1 year in the food processing industry?
You have a valid
for
point.
violating
You have
the
a
law?
valid point.
How many?
I haven't either. In fact, we have somebody who will be able to shed light on that. We have Mahesh Zagade who joins us to respond to that. But Mr. Mahesh Zagade, before I come to you, let me just go across to Priyanshi Dhir at this point. Ms. Priyanshi, thank you for joining us. You heard what Mr. Bejon has spoken.
Thank you so much for having me.
And quite frankly, what he has spoken is what much of India really thinks is speaking. We all are horrified looking at these visuals. And when I say we, I'm sure you are included in it. And so are the companies, that seem to be at the receiving end, if that is what I may call, because frankly, consumers are at the receiving end. But nonetheless, do you see this as a freak incident?
Completely.
Freak incidents?
Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead. You are audible. Please go ahead.
Yes. Completely what you're saying. Before a food manufacturer, I'm a consumer, and this is a very, very shocking sight for all of us. And this really does let us to question the brands and everybody at a lot of stages. But given the situation that is, and it is harming not only the brand's reputation, but also questioning what the food authorities are doing at this stage. But, coming from a background where I myself were making breads, we're making clean breads, and we're manufacturing them on daily basis for thousands of families on every day. And it's not only that the consumers are consuming this, we're taking this for our own families. We as brands, we really do try to make sure that at any given stage, hygiene is our first priority. And I'm sure everybody would agree to me when I say that no brand
for all brands?
at any given
Are you
stage
speaking for the brands?
would want to jeopardize.
I'm just clarifying because this is a question that largely.
No.
Because these visuals don't show that. I mean, quite frankly, it doesn't.
Yeah. Completely. So that's what I'm saying, that, no brand at any level would want to jeopardize their own image. And given that, we also are considered about what is happening at the back end. Why? Given that we are considering all the hygiene norms, we're meeting all the compliances, but still this is happening. And this comes with a huge shock. I would want to keep myself secondary as a manufacturer, but as a consumer. And this comes with a huge shock that why is this happening? But are we, keeping a little bit of humanity, are we really trying to say that the brand is going to jeopardize their own image?
Okay. And it's important to understand the context here. Really, we're not talking about whether brands want to jeopardize their own image. Quite frankly, we're not interested in that. We're interested in what the consumers are getting.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm asking a very genuine question here.
Completely,
And I'm
completely.
asking, just allow me, I'm asking a panelist this very question, and that's why I have three very different panelists with three very different perspectives. Mahesh Zagade joins us right now. Mr. Mahesh, so brands say they don't want to jeopardize their image. Government says how and where can we reach everywhere? We are doing what we can. Consumers say here is what we are getting. My question still remains, the question that I first asked the other two panelists, I'm asking you. Freak incidents, or is there more to this?
Sneha, thank you for having me here, and let me congratulate you to conduct show on this, because such things go unnoticed most of the time. We consume for food 3 times a day minimum, but we take it for granted about their quality. And this phenomenon is not the food that is traded or sold is now increasing day by day. It is increasing. In fact, some parts of the world, the kitchens are now getting closed down. So we are depending more and more on the traded food, processed food. And from that perspective, it has to be of some standards, safety measures have to be taken. And for that, this country has adopted a very robust law, rules, regulations from 2011. There is no issue about it. We have also very well-networked official machinery, which is supervised by Food Safety Authority and, of course, the Food Safety Commissioner at the state level. But what you are showing on the screen, these are the disturbing visuals. And that shows that what kind of mess we are in. But more from the, apart from the visuals, there are many things which we consumer never comes to know. The kind of harmful chemicals, carcinogenic chemicals, that cause many other ailments and kidney failures, which are very harmful chemicals that are not supposed to be used, and the quantity in which they are used. So all in all, the regulator, as Mr. Mishra has said, is completely missing. My perspective, and having worked in the system, the mechanism, official mechanism is broken, completely broken down. And this is a very serious threat to the health of the people in this country. We have robust law, we have the machinery, we have the funds to spend on them, but whether they are doing the job. They are doing the job, but what kind of job? Reactive. They are working
Mr.
as
Mahesh,
post-mortem
I need you
people.
to explain this more, because the viewers need to understand this. When you say that we have a robust system in place, but is broken, the system is not functioning, what do you mean by this? Because this directly affects the people, and I'm asking you this as an authoritative figure on this, because you have been part of FDA, which, if I may, for a very general perspective, a general understanding, is nothing but, say, a miniature FSI working for a state. Am I correct on that?
That's right. Sneha is like the FSI works at the national level, and they're also supposed to supervise the state functioning. But that apart, the job of the food safety commissioners and the law expects that right from the farm to fork, all the activities, processes are either licensed or registered under the law, and what are the conditions under which they are supposed to function, so that nothing adverse happens in the whole process of either sourcing of raw material, manufacturing, transportation, and selling. So everything is very watertight as far as the regulations and laws are concerned. It is only the implementation. Now, as I was saying earlier, implementation is at the level only of as a reactive. If something is happening, they go and take action, like finding a blade in the food or in finger in ice cream. They have become reactive as a post-mortem machinery. Law expects that this is to be it has to be preventive, because once you consume the food, then the harm is already done. Law expects that nothing should happen. There have to be periodical inspections by the food safety officers, then action against them. In fact, major manufacturers have to file returns just like income tax returns. And the FSI and the food safety are supposed to check the returns just like income tax authorities and take action. So the mechanism and rules and regulations are extremely well. But unfortunately, like many other sectors, as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had said, that the bureaucracy in this country has to be steel frame bureaucracy. I think this steel frame has gone. It has become very fragile,
Okay.
and they are not accountable to anybody.
Okay. Okay, Bejon Mishra. Now, if you have viewers, and one of the questions everybody is asking, everybody's thinking of, is what will we do if something like this comes to us? What should we do? I mean, of course, if it comes in a food and if you've taken a bite of it, please get your medical advice, go get your medical checkup. That's a given. But apart from that, as a consumer, what must they do?
You're asking me?
No, I'm asking
Now you're asking
Bejon
me?
Mishra. Mr. Bejon
I'm
Mishra.
supposed to respond, Mahesh ji. Okay, you see, let me tell you, Sneha, the first thing is the consumers should ensure that they don't buy in future any product of that brand or of that company or that retailer who has sold that product to them. First thing is boycott such brands, because that will punish them and that will teach them a lesson to be more careful and be more sensitive in terms of hygiene and good manufacturing practices, and ensure that they never commit such mistakes again or such errors again in future. That's the first thing. The second thing is everyone should report immediately to the regulator and ensure that it's given in writing with evidences. And it should be done with the help of the police. You should take help of the nearest police station so that you create an evidence that you are not manipulating with the sample and you are able to give the right sample to the police to seize, to take further action on your behalf, because government is supposed to and government is liable to take action against the offenders or the violators on your behalf. You are not expected to go and file a litigation and follow up a litigation in the court of law to seek justice. The government is supposed to give you justice, a fair justice, which is prompt, which will compensate you, which will ensure that in future the manufacturer is so heavily penalized and it is so deterrent that he will not compromise on hygiene and good manufacturing practices and distribution practices. This is what is not happening in our country. And finally, I would say the consumer should take it to its logical end, like we do. We always take it to its logical end. We don't go to sleep. That's why our campaign, Jago Grak Jago, is a very successful campaign. We don't let people go to sleep. We keep them awake through media, through friends like you in the media, who bring it in public domain, who bring in a conversation in a 360 degree. And I am sure the government authorities are listening to us. And I am sure they will wake up. Sneha, they will wake up. Okay. You will see they will wake up. Because there will be knee-jerk reactions, but there will be a sustainable reaction in the coming years.
Priyanshi Dhir, you've heard what Bejon Mishra has said. Now let's look at these cases that have happened. Now, in case of the blade being found in the food, Air India apologized. The food, the Air India partner has also gone ahead and apologized. In the case of Hershey's, Hershey's has apologized. In the case of the ice cream, at least one of the ice cream brands, that's the Yumo, went and apologized. So apologies have come in. But these are, these are massive brands. These are massive brands and these are Himalayan blunders. Can an apology be enough? I'll give you this example. So this passenger who got the blade, he apparently put out on social media saying he got an offer that you can fly free for this particular sector within next year or some sort like that. He said this is nothing but this is bribing. I mean, that's how consumer feels after being treated or getting what they have got. Priyanshi, how are brands, I mean, if it's so damaging, how are brands going to deal with this?
Completely, Sneha. I, at any given point, don't believe in this entire concept of brands reaching out to the consumers and trying to shut them down for the mistakes that have happened. And I think apology is needed, of course, but that's secondary. Before that, what is needed is the approach that brands are taking towards the consumers. It is to make them feel at comfort is what brands should be doing, I think, at the start. It is like Bijon ji correctly said that, there are a lot of food practices these manufacturing units are doing that may not be, as per the norms. But when brands start giving a direct access to the consumers also to feel safe and have a direct vigilance and have a direct, connectivity with them. Like, I'm not saying that nobody can ever be at fault. Like, of course, we're humans, this entire world, nothing is 100%. But can brands not give, some level of confidence to the brands? To the consumers? I don't think so. Do I feel that we should boycott these brands completely? I also don't think so. And as Mahesh ji very correctly said, that these are certain issues that we are seeing, but they are way bigger issues that are already existing in the entire chain. And these are, of course, these cancerogenic chemicals and preservatives that we are consuming on a daily basis in our staple food. Are we even aware of that? Are we even concerned about that? We see what comes in front of us, but what is going inside also is very, very important. As consumers, have we ever really taken a stance of turning the pack and reading what is in our food, or even questioning that what we are eating, is it safe for us or not? There are a lot of different levels and different phases as consumers. If I'm right now talking as a consumer, that we have to question.
Certainly, Priyanshi Dhir. In fact, this is something that we discuss a lot. We have discussed time and again on our show as well, on Beyond the Headline as well. But one thing I have to ask you, Priyanshi Dhir, do you think Indians are very forgiving? The Indian consumer is very forgiving. And I'm asking you this to try and get a perspective. What's happening when instances like this are being reported? What's happening behind in these corporates, in these giants? Is there a desperation, or is this, okay, let's just wait over this?
See, what's happening behind these giants and what they are doing is a chapter that they would want to answer. But what as manufacturing units we do when we see certain things happening like this. See, as a brand, we really try to, meet all the compliances. We try to take care of hygiene at most. That's our main priority, because we are always under the radar. As brands, when we claim something, we are always under 100% radar by our competitors, by the food authorities, and we try to always stand by it, not only to prove ourselves to the world, but also to, stand by and make the consumers trust what we're saying. And I'm sure, like, if as a consumer, I would want to say, and as a manufacturer, I would want to say, when these giants see something like this, they should become more vigilant. They should keep themselves and the consumers at utmost priority and try taking some time out and really concentrating on what's going wrong, and really putting more and more vigilance and trying to control their manufacturing practices. As we say in food industry, GMP, good manufacturing practices, are at most priority.
But do you think
seeing
the Indian consumer is largely very forgiving, and that really plays out to the strength of giants or no giants, but nonetheless the sellers or the product, their manufacturers, their producers, does it play to their strength?
I think Indians are forgiving and compassionate for sure, and we really, as consumers, I think Indians hold that strength of giving a second chance always to everybody, and there is where we do give chances. There are a lot of brands who do not think of taking these second chances, and they are like I would just want to ask that, have we heard of a finger case ever before? We've heard zillions of cases, and I think something or the other always comes in radar and comes in action, and we really get shocked, and we're always like, uptight listening to all of these things. But yeah, as consumers, we do want to give second chances
Mahesh,
to brands
Zagade,
that
let me
we've been
just take
consuming
what
for years.
Ms. Dhir is making, the point Priyanshi is making. Let me just bring this to you, Mr. Mahesh Zagade. Now, she's saying, have you ever heard of a case where a finger popped up in an ice cream before? No. But have you ever heard of a case where a rat was found of a chocolate sauce bottle? No. Have you ever found a centipede in an ice cream bar? No. Fair enough. But my point is, look, in 2 weeks, you're having 6 instances. 2 weeks, 6 instances, and that's the worry. I mean, this is not 1 in 1 year or 1 in 6 months. These are 6 different instances in a matter of 2 weeks.
That's true. That it simply means that earlier they were not getting reported. Of course, these such instances used to happen even earlier also, but now they are getting more reported, maybe because of social media or maybe because of awareness created amongst the consumers through media like you or Mr. Mishra's NGOs. And people have become more aware and they are now posting their experiences on the social media. That's how it is coming on, it is surfacing. So more than that, what the consumers are supposed to, rather than just reporting these instances, they should be trying to understand that who's the food safety officer in their locality, catch hold of him, and see that if something amiss is happening, then ask him to take a sample of that particular food item and then take it to the logical conclusion. See, it is very simple. Law is very clear that if you feel that something is wrong in a particular food product, the consumer is legally empowered to ask the food safety officer to pick up the sample and get it tested officially. If something wrong is found, then the fee that is collected as a deposit is also returned back. But I don't think in this country anybody is doing this. They are only reporting when the event has happened.
Okay.
So the consumers are also supposed to be aware. Secondly, consumers should also start asking them to make their reports public reports, like what these companies are doing, whether they are also having good manufacturing practices or not. It should come in the public domain. Nothing is coming in the public domain. It is remaining.
I mean, it comes domain. As a given, you know. If you are such a top-notch brand, then you jolly well give a good manufacturing facility. You follow. I mean, it's just a given. We just tend to assume that it would happen. A neighborhood bakery may be under a scanner, but, you know, a top-notch big brand may not really be in a scanner. That's not some worry that an ordinary consumer may have. And are you saying that's wrong?
That's right. You see, the top-notch brands, these are very large brands. And for these brands, the returns are mandatory. Food audit reports are mandatory and they have to be scrutinized. In fact, the products like ice creams and milk products, twice they have to give these returns to the food safety authorities. But unfortunately, food safety authorities are not enforcing that this you have to do. And let me tell you, the big brands. Okay. These big brands are not holy cows. I have seen, in case of Johnson & Johnson, their baby powder, they marketed the baby powder with ethylene oxide that they expose about 60,000 babies to the carcinogenic substances. So big brands, when it comes to the good manufacturing practices, we should not always take that they are following the good manufacturing practices. The authorities have to ensure that even big brands also...
In fact, that's something also the brand did take off the market as well. But in this particular case, Bejon Mishra, if I can come and if I can ask you the concluding question, and very quickly, if you could spend a minute on this, Mr. Bejon Mishra, if consumers, Indian consumers, is there a difference in how these cases are treated by Indian consumers vis-a-vis how this case would be treated in, say, a US or a Europe?
You see, you mentioned that Indian consumers are forgiving. No, Indian consumers are not forgiving. Indian consumers are most vulnerable and they're helpless. They feel that even if they raise their voice, nobody will listen to them. The mechanism doesn't work. So people are apathetic. They don't want to complain. They don't want to come forward. Indian consumers are helpless. They don't have the resources to fight against the giants, which the government has got all the taxpayers' money to do that. But they don't file cases. And do you know, Sneha, more than 80% of the cases filed against, substandard products, food products collected from the supply chain they lose the case in the court of law because they don't do it in the right manner. And they intentionally do that to protect the industry. So how do you expect the consumers to raise their voice in this country? They cannot raise their voice because they don't have the resources. And the government is not providing the resources to the consumers to do that work which is done in developed countries. So if we want to be a developed country, we want the country to go for on behalf of the consumers in the right manner and prosecute the offenders in a deterrent manner. The violators are getting away. They are getting away. They are free. Today, you will see tomorrow, nothing will happen to these guys who have been caught on camera, compromising on the quality and safety of the consumers.
Right. In fact, thank you very much, all of you, Mahesh, Zagade, Priyanshi Dhir, as well as Bejon Mishra for joining us. There's one thing that Indian democracy boasts of, and that's holding power to accountability. It should be no different when it comes to brands vis-a-vis consumers. On Mirror Now, we believe just that. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. It's time for a very short break. On the other side, do join us for Late Night Edition, where we'll bring you all the big and all the latest that's happening around you.
Tata Motors